Cents Sensibility, where we like to talk about stress. We don't like to talk about stress. We like to talk about money without the stress. God damn. Welcome to Cents Sensibility, where we like to talk about money without the stress. My name is Chris. I'm here with my good friend.
I'm Phil.
So in today's episode, we're going to be diving into the emotional toll that debt can take on you. You're not alone if you've ever felt like overwhelmed, frustrated, or even like ashamed of your financial situation. I've been there. A lot of people have been there, so you're not alone. But there's good news. There are ways to handle those feelings and still move forward with a plan. So let's talk and explore how.
I think the first thing people need to do when it comes to handling their debt is they need to acknowledge their feelings about it. Ignoring how the debt makes you feel, it won't make it go away, and it's just going to make it worse, and you're going to feel burdened by it. So it's okay to admit that it's stressful or overwhelming, and that's really the first step to dealing with your debt.
Yeah, no, I mean, I kind of get that. I feel like honestly pretty normal to be either stressed out by finances or feel overwhelmed when like you're in debt and stuff. So for me, I mean, like my story or example, if you want to call it, is that I once had a friend who told me they felt embarrassed about like them having credit card debt, but I'm like, dude, you just got out of college, like it's not that serious. Like I feel like everybody probably racks up some debt, between student loans and obviously credit card debt and stuff. So, but I think what I had noticed was when he had like started opening up and like talking about it more, I feel that he realized that he wasn't alone, because I was like, hey, look, I do have debt. I don't have student loan debt like you do, but I have debt. So he didn't feel it necessarily as bad anymore. I think he got more comfortable talking about it and realizing like it's not something that you should feel ashamed of or anything of the sort. So I think for like that being said, it made a huge difference.
Yeah, Chris, I mean, talk to a trusted friend or a family member or even a counselor if you have one. And sometimes just saying it out loud really helps you cope with what you're going through, and that helps you acknowledge your feelings about your debt. And that's the first real step here to dealing with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree with that. I think that having a good support system of, whether it be friends, family members, or like you said, a counselor, I think that's really good to have, which then brings us into number 2, right? Yes, sometimes separate emotion from action, right? So obviously debt, it sucks, but it's a problem that needs to be solved. So I don't think of it as a reflection of your like self-worth. The more you separate the two ideas, easier it is to take action. And that's the first big step that you got to take, right? It's just take that first step and everything else will go from there, right? And a good tip I like to tell people is just, focus on the steps that you can take today. Don't think about the whole process, because that's a lot of thinking, and you're thinking too big when you're thinking of all the steps that you're gonna need to take rather than just taking that first initial steps. So start by creating a budget, or you can, if you feel like you can tackle it, call your creditors to negotiate some terms, because most of the times you call them, let them know, hey, I'm going through a hardship, and they'll be willing to work with you.
Yeah, and Chris, you definitely want to take action when it comes to handling your debt. So that brings us to number 3, which is you want to celebrate your small wins. And that could be, paying off $50, which may not feel huge, but every step counts when it comes to getting out of debt. And you want to celebrate those victories, because if you don't, what are you really working towards? And when you celebrate it, that adds up over time and makes you feel better about your situation. For example, one of our viewers shared how they paid off their smallest debt first, and it gave them momentum to keep going. So you want to try to build on that and celebrate those small wins as much as you can.
Yeah, I think keeping the momentum is like a big challenge. I know for me it was, but I'm a person that I like to see things visually. So like a tip I always like to tell people is like, hey, if it works for you, or if it works for me, it might work for you kind of thing, is to track your progress visually. Whether that's hey, you put something in your room or put something somewhere around your house where you end up kind of crossing off some debts or amounts of a number, so you can visually see it and have a feeling of tangible results of you paying off your debt. Keep that momentum going. Go ahead and share your story in the comments below. What's one way that you've dealt with the emotional stress of debt? It could honestly help someone else. Yeah, that can feel heavy, but remember, you're not alone, and it's not forever. It's very temporary. So acknowledge your feelings, separate emotion from action, and always celebrate every step forward when you get those wins. You got this. And as always, if this episode helped, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and share it with someone who might need some encouragement. And don't miss our next video where we'll talk about simple ways to boost your credit score. And as always, keep your cents and sensibilities in check.